Morning, welcome back, and you're watching Breakfast at Dawn. Now, in a country which is generally seen as rights challenged, speaking on something as intangible as intellectual property rights may raise a few eyebrows, but talk about this we must.
Because in the fast shrinking global village, we cannot really close our eyes to the impact of infringements on our industry as well as goodwill, which is in short supply in any case.
Now, World Intellectual Property Day that will be celebrated on the 28th of April will focus on celebrating innovation and promoting respect for intellectual property. And to tell us more of this, we are joined by John Ara, who is president of Pakistan Association of Software Houses, and Ali Kabir Shah, who is the attorney at law, who is part of the firm's renowned litigation team that has conducted landmark cases on the subject in Pakistan. And also joining us in Lahore studios is Mr. Farooq Irfan Khan. He's part of the International Trademark Association's group of International Panel of Neutrals for Worldwide Arbitration in Intellectual Property Disputes.
Which means he's a lawyer.
Which means he's a lawyer dealing with intellectual property rights. I was going to say, wow, that's quite a mouthful.
Right.
Let me just ask you a very simple question, because I know the first reaction when I speak to people about this is, intellectual property rights, first of all, what is it and why should I care?
Well, intellectual property is a very broad term. It covers a lot of things. It covers books, so authors who write books or poets,
right.
Publishers are affected. Then, of course, there are films, literary works. Then there is my field, which is software. All this is developed, created by individuals.
Okay.
And they spend a lot of time developing these products which are innovative and which they want to sell and get back some of the investment that they have put in.
Makes a lot of
so,
sense.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and when that is infringed upon, all these people lose out.
Well, you know, I mean, we have a saying, I mean, for example, because, you know, coming from the media industry, is, you know, it's an Urdu saying, halwa hum pakate hain, koi aur jaake khata hai. Basically, that's how it kind of works. Now, you've handled some cases.
Oh, we have, yes. What we've seen is that in Pakistan, there's just no awareness of the fact that you can actually own what you imagine.
Right.
And that's what you do. You're an artist. What you're imagining is what you're creating.
Yes.
You don't always have to make a product to own it. And that's something that I think we need to develop as a society.
It's as real as somebody cannot just walk off with something you own, like your house or your car.
Oh, absolutely.
This is as tangible as that, even
exactly.
though it's intangible.
That's what distinguishes intellectual property from property. With property, it's possession. With intellectual property, it's exclusivity. You know?
All right.
But Ali, may I butt in? Are concepts and innovations, are they protected under the copyright law that exists in Pakistan?
Of course they are, absolutely.
Ideas, concepts, processes?
It's the transmission of an idea. You can't just have an idea. You were meant to have written that idea down somewhere.
That's exactly what I was going to do. Farooq, let me ask you. I mean, I remember when we were in film school, we were taught you cannot copyright. I mean, an idea cannot be copyrighted. You have to, unless you go and register it, or etc., etc. Now, can you tell us what is your experience as far as intellectual property rights, people's awareness, and what they're doing about it in Pakistan?
First of all, let me go back to the explanation of what intellectual property rights are. They are actually a much wider term than what we understand. They're not just in copyrights, they are not just in software, but intellectual property rights are in innovation, in research, and in branding. If you are producing a good and just selling it without a name, it may sell as a commodity. But if you put a name to it and you work hard to protect that name and to work hard to maintain the goodwill and the quality of that product under that brand, then you have established brand on the basis of which you can earn a premium.
Yes.
Very true.
Similarly, when you are doing research, you are working in pharmaceutical field, you are working in genetic engineering, you are working on automobiles. If you create a new product, then you have an intellectual property right which may be utilized as an industrial right, but it is actually the work of an intellect of a human being which needs to be protected.
Now, Farooq Sahab, can you tell me, just interrupting, we know now what intellectual property rights are broadly, but in Pakistan they're really not protected. Is that because the laws are inadequate, or is that because the laws are not implemented?
I think, let me tell you, this is a wrong notion. Laws are very well implemented in Pakistan. The question is that the general public is not aware of it, you see. And whatever system we have a legal system which is clogged down. We have a system where there is a great backlog of general litigation. So intellectual property causes do not find that priority with which these have to be dealt with. Intellectual property rights are when being infringed. You know, people, we say they cause an irreparable loss, meaning thereby that if your house is broken down, you can build it tomorrow. You know, you can, if your window pane is broken, you can put a new window pane. But if your idea is stolen, you know, there is no reprieve. You cannot have a resort to something where you can protect your rights.
All right.
So the courts have to protect your rights in the first possible opportunity.
Fair enough. Janara, I know.
Given
sorry, let me just take part of what you said and bring it to Janara right now. You seem to disagree with this. I mean, as far as implementation of laws are concerned.
I totally disagree with that. I know that some people have been successful in having you know, IPR cases run through the courts. I think there is still not enough understanding amongst the judges, amongst the legal community, amongst the police, amongst the FIA of what IPR is and how to deal with it, especially in the area of software. And there are several reasons for that. If I have a product, I have created something, if I go and register it at a copyright office, now both these gentlemen can tell me if I'm wrong, but if I want to register a software product, I have to take the source code on a CD, I have to print out all the source code, okay, so take the hard copy of that source code to the copyright office where they will stamp each of the pages, and then I have to leave this with them. Okay,
so that they can
which company in this country would like to leave their source code with a copyright office, any office? And also, I mean, come on, software and technology changes moment to moment.
Yes.
The source code I leave with you will change the minute I have left my office with it.
Right.
Okay, so I think there are several angles at which we have to look at this.
What about the priority? Is protection of IPR, we'll come back to you with this question about how high on the priority list is the protection of IPR by our law enforcement or legal system?
Yes, absolutely. But before that, we're going to take a very quick break. But if you have any questions, again, now's the time. SMS in the 6622 and the format is DPT, that's Daily Breakfast Dawn. Please send your name and location. Now's the time to get in on the discussion. Please stay with us. You're watching Breakfast at Dawn.
We're watching Breakfast at Dawn, and the issue we're discussing today is intellectual property rights in Pakistan, or the lack of them. Now, Jahara, you were telling us about the fact that the laws actually are not implemented as well as they could be. Now, what is the reason for that? Is it because people don't understand the law, or is it because there's a lack of enthusiasm on the part of the enforcers?
And also, as Farooq just said, there's a backlog.
There's a backlog. I mean, there are perhaps more serious issues like life and death matters that are clogging up the system.
That is certainly true. I think one angle is that yes, it is lower on the priority scale, and the second thing is that most of them don't understand how to deal with software issues. It's quite complicated. The third angle, which I think is something that we need to deal with, is that the people who work in the software companies, it's not just copying CDs and selling them, it's also people who work within software and IT companies who do not realize that if they use anything that they are working on, it is also theft. If they replicate something that they're working on, it's also theft.
Yes.
So a lot more of that is happening to the local industry as opposed to what is happening to international software companies.
Okay.
So if we develop a piece of software, we've had cases in Lahore as well as in Karachi where a young person working on the software has decided, okay, I was working on this, so this, you know, I can do this, replicate it somewhere else and make a lot of money. Why am I just an employee? And so he puts it up on the internet because he has access to the